Hi, good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, January 27, 2026. This is a regular school board meeting of the School Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is now 6:04. The place is the School City of East Chicago Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street in East Chicago, Indiana, and this meeting is being recorded via live stream. Call to order. Trustee Gibson King.
Present.
Trustee Gomez.
Present.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Madam President Taylor. Present. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is our mission statement. Dr. Bornay, please.
Good evening. The School City of East Chicago educates and empowers every student through aligned instruction, meaningful partnerships, and differentiated practices to ensure success in life, college, career, and civic engagement.
Thank you. Next on your agenda is 1.04, which is certification. This is pursuant to Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-6.1. I hereby certify that an executive session was held on November 20th, November 25th, and December 2nd, 2025, and there were no matters discussed during that meeting other than the items listed in the posted and advertised public notice. Are there any trustees who would dissent the certification? Being none, we can move to the next agenda item. And the next agenda item is 2.01, approval of the agenda. Are there any comments from the audience on the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 2.01.
Motion
Second.
made by trustee Rodriguez,
Second.
second by trustee Gomez. Are there any comments from the board? Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King.
Yes.
Trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Madam President Taylor.
Yes. Moving to item 3, we have a presentation from Whiteman Facilities Assessment. Dr. Mornay?
Good evening again, Board of Trustees. As part of our efforts to ensure that we are delivering instruction in very safe responsibilities, and in order for us to be good stewards, we have engaged Whiteman, that firm, to conduct an entire facility assessment of this corporation's properties. We're going to ask that firm to come forth now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Paul.
Excuse me, if you'll go to the mic.
Yeah, there's a mic up front.
It's okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Falk. I'm the Regional Director for Whiteman. We're architects and engineers. And what we're here to present tonight is the facility study that we conducted on the buildings within the system. I'm going to give a brief overview of the totality of what's presented in each one of the reports. We have individual reports on each building, which is reflected in the different booklets you have. I will try not, can you hear me?
I could barely hear you. Could the audience hear okay? Yeah. Okay,
I'll speak up a little bit louder.
thank you.
What I'll do is give a quick overview as far as on the process and how we went about doing this. And so we'll start with the very first one, which we have up on your pile, I believe, is Washington Elementary. And in this, what we do is we are looking at the facility assessment report, gives you an outlook in being able to look forward about what expenditures you might expect in order to keep your buildings up in a safe and sound condition. And in doing that, we also take a look at mission criticality, which means that there's, when the action is going to be taken, whether it's be deferred for 1 to 5 years, deferred for 6 to 10 years, or deferred indefinitely. And that just gives you a better picture of the needs that are needed immediately for the buildings. The process itself, we use a system called a VFA Assessment Management Program to capture and evaluate the building. We go out and do a physical examination of each of the buildings, a walkthrough. We do that with our architectural staff and engineering staff so that we are very well versed on what is out there. And then there's a facility overview in each report, just describing the building and the grounds itself, the mechanical systems, the plumbing systems, electrical systems, et cetera. The primary actions, the assessment did not identify systems of the facility or the site that need immediate action to keep the building in service. The following section presents additional details regarding the needs of all the items noted for the assessment. So you, in here, it's there's a graph showing you the expenditures by year, and then finally, it's mission criticality. Now, mission criticality means that there are some issues that you need to do immediately in order to keep the buildings warm, safe, and dry. Let's say the roof needs to be replaced, or there's a HVAC unit that is on the verge of becoming obsolete or non-functional. Those need to be addressed immediately, as opposed to carpeting, which you might be able to push off for a while. It's not something that's going to keep the building from operating, if that makes sense to everyone. So in doing that, then we finally have a facility condition renewal index, and that's the FCI, which is it's the replacement value. And I should say that these numbers and prices are built on a item for item replacement cost. So it's looking at, let's say, the lighting, and it's a replacement cost to replace the lighting with like lighting. So if you have fluorescent lighting currently, that's what it's looked at to be replaced with. It's not to be replaced with LED lighting. If you have an HVAC system that does not have air conditioning and it needs to be replaced, it's calling for the cost to replace that type of system. Now, if you want to upgrade it, then of course there are advantages and disadvantages and cost items that come into play with that. So in the facility assessment, in looking at, does everyone understand that explanation? Okay. With that, what I'd like to do, so that I don't take up the entire evening going through each individual report, I will just jump to the chase and what the final findings are. So your FCI, which is items that need to be addressed immediately on the Washington Elementary School, you're looking at a replacement value. The replacement value of the building is $32,984,000. The renewal index, or the FCI, says it will cost 32% of the building's replacement cost in the first few years. And the long-term cost is an RI of 64%. Now, general rule of thumb is that if it costs 2/3 of the cost of a new building to maintain the current structure, consideration should be given to replacing that facility. So on Washington, it is, we would not recommend replacing that building. That building, we feel, is usable, and you can continue to, it can be upgraded, it can be kept in place. Your SCEC building, which is currently being used by your maintenance and not too much else. And on that one, the FCI, the short-term cost is about 31%, but the long-term cost is up to 86%. And anytime it goes over that 66%, it's our consideration that you should be looking at replacing this building.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What facility are you referring to here?
I don't know what the name of it used to be.
It's the old Kerry Gosh.
Okay.
So can you explain that again? You're saying that that building,
Yes, it has a lot of immediate needs that it hasn't been addressed for quite a while. The roof is totally shot, the HVAC systems are going bad, and the overall condition of the building warrants that it not be kept. That the long-term cost, in order to fix things up, is going to cost more than what it's worth to keep it.
it's interesting, thank you.
I'm gonna ask a question.
The Cleat Athletic Building,
Excuse me.
That's okay,
I think we had another question from another board member.
sure,
What you just said, is it in the report here that it needs to be,
yes, if you take a look in the
what page is
report,
that on?
page 8.
Oh, page 8, okay, that's what I want to know, so I can read it when I get home. Page 8, okay.
It is an RI of 86%. It's a 10-year costs are $31 million. And the short-term costs are $11 million.
That's interesting to know. The building, I didn't know.
Athletic building.
The Cleat Athletic Building, and the renewal index is on page 7.
Page 7, okay.
This one, we recommend you, we don't recommend replacing it. It's in good condition, and we recommend you just keep it and do the repairs as needed. The Harrison Elementary, on page 7. The replacement value of the building is $28,406,000. And the FCI indicates that it costs 21% of the cost of replacing the building, and the RI is at 39%, and we do not recommend replacing this building. Keep it. Good condition. The one that is probably the most troubling is when we get to the high school, when we understand that there's quite a bit of HVAC work that is going to be done. And in that one, the FCI is at 32%. The RI shoots it up to 86%. Now, that, and what has to be considered in any of these reports, especially when you're looking at the building, there are different factors that other non-brick and mortar factors that need to be evaluated, such as your access, geographic location, the impact of the level of service provided by the Central High School. So there are other items that can come into play. We're looking strictly at what it costs to replace the systems that need to be replaced. And from what I understand, you're in the process of replacing some of those systems, and that's a good thing at this point.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I know the public doesn't have this information in front of them. So you're saying the replacement value of the building is $108 million?
Yes.
I believe that was built at $40 million, that building.
And inflation has affected it greatly. That building was built when I was in high school.
Thank you.
This on page 7 too?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
The high school press box
page 8, I believe.
Oh, 7 and 8, okay. thank
is
you.
on page 6, where
Madam
we get into
Secretary.
that one. And there, the FCI is less than 3%, and the RI is at 43%, and we do not recommend replacing that building. It is very workable.
What building was this? I'm sorry.
That is
press
the
box?
high
Press
school
box.
press box.
Okay.
The Transportation and Facilities Building that was just recently completed, that one, we don't, we recommend you keep it. And it's, your FCI is only at 4%, Your RI is at 56%, and it's well below the levels where we would recommend replacing that building. So,
I'm sorry, did you say you would recommend to replace this building?
no, keep it. The Joseph Block Middle School, and that occurs on page 7. It has an FCI of 53% and an RI of 87%. So that one, we recommend considering replacing the existing building. Yes, ma'am. It is our recommendation that consideration should be given for replacing the block building.
And it was built in 1968? Right?
The Kerry Gosh Learning Center,
Replace this, huh?
the FCI on that facility, that's the short-term repairs, is 62% of the value of replacing the building. And the RI is 113% of replacing the building. It's our recommendation that you should consider replacing this building.
Excuse me.
Yes.
That would include the pool as well.
That includes the pool as well. We take a look at the entire facility. Whatever's there, we look at replacing that building or fixing it up as you do. Now, there are other considerations when you're looking at buildings. You know, how do you possibly reuse it? You know, the location, all those different items. What we're looking at is a line item by line item replacement cost to bring that building back up to standards.
And I know the pool hasn't been used for quite some time, so is it broken down in here what that line item would be for the
You go
pool?
back further into the report, starting we'll take the Kerry Gosh, for example, starting page, and I lost my page numbers, I'm sorry. 2 pages would be page 10. It is a detail funding by year, and it breaks down all the different items by year that would have to be replaced. And if you go back a little bit further, and you have a mission criticality table, there it gives you level 1, 2, 3, 4. And those levels indicate that level 1 needs to be done right away. Level 2 means it can be put off. Level 3, put off a little bit further. Level 4 means it could possibly be indefinite when you do that. And so it breaks it down in that fashion. And if you look in here, I would have to take a look and see where the swimming pool pulls up, but it is in here. Place. And I will have to further look into, I mean, it's quite a bit in there.
Yeah.
McKinley Elementary. And the final assessment again is on page 7. On that one, your RI is at 68%. And your FCI is at 28, your short term is at 28%, your RI is at 68%. And due to this, we don't recommend replacing this facility at this time. And finally, the Lincoln Elementary, which was probably the most surprising one due to its age. On that one, the the FCI on that one is at 48%, well below that 66%. And the RI is at 61%, and thus we don't recommend that this has to be replaced. That is a short, very quick, because I don't want, and I can come back and sit down with the board or the school administration and go through the details in further detail if you wish, or if you want me to, I can go through them now, but as you can see, it's a lot of information. And so any questions at this point?
Madam Chair, I do have a question. You mentioned on the CLEAT building, so I thought 66% was the threshold.
66% is generally the threshold of where we're shooting at. Now, you take into percentage with the RI and the RI and the FCI. We kind of take a look at that combination, where it falls into play. And one might be at like, I think the one came in at 68% on the one building.
There's
But
70.
the RI was much, much lower.
Okay. All right.
I got a question, Madam Secretary, Madam President.
Yes.
What about this building here? Did you do this building?
No, we did not, ma'am.
Oh, what's the reason for that one? You didn't do this building?
We weren't asked to.
Oh, you was not asked to. Oh, okay.
I've heard some assessments on the building, but we weren't asked to evaluate this building.
Madam President,
Yes, Attorney Harris?
if there aren't any other questions of the board right now, I would make a recommendation. And there's a lot of information that was just provided. Obviously, you all need an opportunity to review it. But it may be beneficial if you hold an executive session to kind of, you've given some time to review it. You can brainstorm with one another to come up with some questions. If this information at some point can be made available online for the public to view, for you all to have your executive session, discuss these items, come up with maybe some questions that you'd like to present to this group, and then have them come back in for a work session on just this topic, that probably is the best course of action going forward.
Okay, thank you, I agree.
I do too.
Would you happen to have a summary that you could provide, just a summary data sheet on all facilities, or is just all individualized? A digital copy possibly?
Yeah, we can provide you digital copies of all the reports. If you want, we can pull out those individual sheets on the
Yes.
final assessment.
Yes.
But it is valuable to be able to take a look at everything. This is a great, it's a great tool for being able to set up your budgets in the future.
So do you have all of these digital? The
Yes, we
whole.
do.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
with me.
No, no, of course, of course. Okay. Maybe we could upload those on the website, and everyone will have access to them that way. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing none, thank you for your time. Now, moving on to the next item, Administrator's Report. Dr. Mornay?
Good evening again, Board of Trustees. This is my report for January 27th, 2026. We are pleased to have our student representative join us this night. Jonathan Ilaya is a senior at East Chicago Central High School and a sectional champion with the tennis team. Not only that, he is a basketball manager and a track runner. He looks forward to attending IU University in Bloomington, Indiana, where he will major in criminal justice. His future aspirations include becoming a lawyer and in the future becoming the President of the United States. Jonathan is also involved in the JROTC and is your 2025-2026 student representative for the Board of Trustees. Let's welcome Mr. Ilaya with a round of applause. We look forward to his comments during trustees' remarks. We also want to congratulate Jasmine Lott. Jasmine will be the school City of East Chicago's first student social media content creator. Give her a round of applause. Jasmine is interested in being the student social media ambassador because it gives her a chance to represent our school spirit and our sense of community, all while learning real-world skills like communication, creativity, and digital marketing. This role will allow her to capture our student achievements, our school events, and promote our school spirit in an engaging and creative way. Being in Mass Media Club and taking it as a class will help her perfect this role even more with experiences like camera operating and editing, ultimately becoming our school social media ambassador. According to Jasmine, is a cool way to stay connected in school activities and showcase our school's unique spirit and learn real-world skills. Let's give Jasmine a hand. And finally, congratulations to our athletic director, Mr. Grayling Gordon. The National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association is pleased to announce that Grayling R. Gordon has been recognized by the NIAAA as a certified athletic administrator. Let's give him a hand. To earn this distinction, Grayling Gordon has demonstrated the highest level of knowledge and expertise in the field of interscholastic athletic administration. This voluntary certification process included a thorough evaluation of the candidate's educational background, experiences, and professional contributions, as well as a rigorous, comprehensive written examination. He now joins one of an elite group of interscholastic athletic administrators nationwide to attain this level of professionalism. Congratulations, Mr. Gordon. And Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, and congratulations again, and welcome, Mr. Ayala. Next on your agenda, we have Executive Director of Business Operations, Ms. Leila Simmons.
Good evening, Board Trustees. I'm going to do the year 2025 finances and review. Ooh, I think there were some copies out on display if you can't read that, because I'm going to have to move over here too. So going through, this is January 1st to December 31st of 2025. The beginning cash of the education fund, which is the fund that is donated to all of the payout of students, any student activities, any teachers, salaries, anything, anyone that touches a student. Started out at 16.1 million. We ended at 16.2 million for the year. Operation fund. Operation fund is the this is where the property tax come in, and this is the operation fund of anyone that does not touch a student, and also any maintenance that needs to be done in any building. We started out with 16.2 million. We ended on a shortfall of 4.1 million. Title I, we had 2 Title I grants open in 2025. We actually have the one for 25-26. It is being used now. 24-25 is closed, and that is the one that's waiting on a cash request of $570,000. We had a cash request put in for that, and we're waiting on that to come in from the state. The new Title I is, we haven't got any cash requests in from that one. Again, that one is that we're currently using. We started using this one, if you see a big number, we started using this one at the beginning of July. So titles run from July to July. So we started using this one at the beginning of July. We're waiting on a cash request to come in. Special ed is the same way. We have 2, then one needs to be closed, which is the negative balance of the 23.6, and one that we just started using with the 59,000. These are the next two, the 6.9 is also a special ed grant, and we're waiting, one is closed out, one just started, and we're waiting on a cash request for the $2,000. Title III. Title III and Title IV is a combination of ESSER that they kept pushing and not closing right away to make sure that we use all of the funding. So the first two of the Title II are closing this year, once we get the cash request in. The last one is our current Title II that's open, where we only use $7,000 of that one. Same thing for Title IV. The first two has been going on for like the last couple years due to, they wanted to make sure we use all money that was given to us from 2020, 2021, 2022. It kept going. So we're all closed out on those, waiting on the cash to come in for those. Our new Title IV is in a balance of $19,000 that we're waiting on the cash request to come in. Bank accounts, School City of East Chicago, opening balance of the bank accounts. The first bank account is the district bank account. That is, all funds are added in there. And that bank account opened at $32.5 million. We closed at $33 million. Meaning, so the next two accounts is, I'm sorry, I didn't put that on there, is the payroll account and the activity, the docket account. These accounts stand at $150,000 at the beginning, at the end. We take the money from our district account, move it over, pay our payroll, move it over, pay our docket, and then anything that's left over, we move it back into the district account. That's how we manage each payroll, each docket. We know what comes in, what goes out, and how much is my docket. If my docket is $2.1 million, which is all of the things we do in the operation fund, title, special ed, that's the docket that's given out at every board meeting. It goes into one account. We move the money from the large district account. We pay out our bills. Anything that's left in that account, we move it back to the district account. Same thing for payroll. Every 2 weeks, I transfer payroll total amount over into the one bank account. After the bank account is closed, payroll is taken out, anything left over, we move it back into the district account. This is how we keep track of how much payroll is and how much the dockets are every month. And that is the finance in review for 2025. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I have a
Yes, Trustee
question.
Gomez.
Thank you. I have a question. Regarding Title I, what was the, was there a shortfall in Title I?
A shortfall in Title I,
Yes.
meaning,
Meaning that we didn't spend whatever we were allotted?
yes.
And what was that amount?
Don't quote me on the exact dollar amount, but I believe it was $495,000 or 460. It's in the 400 range. So that would be a carryover to the next year. So we would carry that 400,000 over to the next year. So we'll be able to use that in this year's for expenditures.
Madam Chair? I'd like to
Yes,
ask-
Trustee
yes.
Gibson King.
Yes, okay, so can we get a copy of that you said is a carryover for Title I? Because this, it should have been on the report, I would like to think.
I do believe that was given out in a report, but I will resend y'all that report.
Okay, and then you mentioned two other accounts that you didn't have on this paper here.
One, the two accounts that's right there that I did not label, one says payroll, one should be the payroll account, and one should be the operation account.
Can we get that too?
Which one? You want me to?
She just
I can
didn't label,
I
she
can
didn't write
label
it
them.
in there.
I just didn't write it in
okay.
there.
It's there,
Yeah.
but she just didn't
Oh,
write it.
okay.
Yeah, they stay at $150,000.
Okay, just operation and payroll, right? Okay. Okay, thank you.
When can we get that report that Trustee Gibson King asked for?
Which report?
The one that
She
you
asked
just
for
said
the
about
Title I.
Title I dollars.
I do believe it has been generated, but I will check my email to make sure that you have a copy that was sent out to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, are there any other questions from the board? All right, thank you, Ms. Simmons. All right, moving forward, we have next on the agenda is the consent agenda. And prior to inquiring a motion for The approval of the consent agenda, I just want to remind the board and also inform the community and the audience, we are initiating a new format on how we address the claim docket and the payroll. So board members are now required to submit their questions in writing to the superintendent as it relates to the payroll and the claim docket. The claim docket and the payroll are both posted up in board docs, so you all also have access to it. And our superintendent is committed to respond to their questions before the board meeting. So there will only be comment regarding payroll and the claim docket, not questions. And I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Madam Chair, I believe we need to ask for the audience input on this before
You are correct.
the board
Thank
takes
you.
action.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience on the consent agenda? Hearing none, may I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by trustee
Second.
Gomez,
I'll second that motion.
second by trustee Rodriguez. Are there any comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, I do have a comment regarding the claim docket. I did submit questions to superintendent. Some of the information I received back was Friday, sometime Friday, and was unable to check his responses until maybe Saturday. I did have some additional questions, and I did follow up with him. I don't believe I received responses from those questions that I generated.
I
So
thought
that-
I saw responses to that right before the meeting earlier today.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, then I may have missed those.
Yes.
The other comment I want to make is, we went through this before, and I'm still challenged by the minutes of the, let's see. I'm trying to figure out where we're at here for the November 25th meeting, the regular minutes. During that meeting, I stated this at the last session. There was a motion that was made and seconded to, Attorney Harris, help me with the language there. It was to
So-
suspend the rules. So the motion passed on a 3-2 vote. A vote was held consequently to that, and I pointed out at the tail end of that meeting that our policy 0131.1 addresses that issue of suspending the rules. And in there, it says that 2/3 of the vote of the board is required to allow the suspension of the rules. It goes on to say in black and white in that policy that they consider 2/3 of the board vote to be for. That vote was 3-2. And I contend that because there was only 3 votes, it was improper to address the personnel report on a final vote on that same day. I don't know if Attorney Harris would like to address that, but it seems to be pretty clear that the action we took was outside of the policy that's in place.
Just a couple of comments. I understand the concern raised by trustee Gomez, but I think the issue right now is just approval of the consent agenda. And included within the agenda are the minutes, and the minutes do reflect what happened at that meeting. I understand trustee Gomez takes issue with whether or not it should have happened that way or not, but the only issue before the board for consideration is approval of the minutes. My understanding from Ms. Bigham is that the minutes accurately reflect the action taken by the board. Now, I can have a separate conversation with trustee Gomez to discuss what can be done if there was some error, procedural error made with the board. How does it get back in front of the board? I think that's a different question. So I understand his concern. I'll talk to him about that. But for now, I think the board is correct in moving forward with an approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Yes,
Trustee
I would
Gibson
like
King.
Thank you. I would like for Mr. Harris to, the open door law for our board minutes are mandatory. They should be recorded and they should be where we can have them listed. So there is a code for that. Can you expound on that, please?
I'm not sure what necessarily the concern is, but yes, there is a requirement that we keep meeting minutes.
Yes.
And those meeting minutes should be available to the board at the following meeting.
Yes.
I believe that that's occurring right now. If it's not, obviously, it's something we need to raise with our board secretary, but,
Well,
yes,
yeah, she's
that is
aware-
a legal requirement. to
Yeah,
answer your
she's
question.
aware of it, but it's my understanding that for some reason or another that I think some other kind of conversation may have came up with her as far as not presenting them. But I know I need board minutes for November the 25th, December the 9th. I need accurate minutes, and I've explained it to Mrs. Bigger, right? So that's my concern, because I know the open door law say we have to have those. Thank you.
So was the minutes that we did receive an email from Diane Bigham with the reflected correct minutes for November 25th. So
Oh, yes,
now
she-
you're saying there's another,
He corrected, maybe might be what Jesse's speaking about.
no,
but I know
the one
a
you
lot of-
you just mentioned, November
Right,
25th.
because a lot of the conversation didn't get recorded in the minutes. Okay,
Okay,
so you can go back and we can all review them. We can review these minutes ourselves because we're live. streaming.
Absolutely.
So once you get them, you could already see that they're not in there.
absolutely.
Madam President, just another point too. If at any time you find that there's something missing from the meeting minutes, you could always present to the board an amended version of the minutes that might reflect whatever's missing. So you can approve what's here now. If you review what was submitted to you and find that there's something missing, you can ask that an amended version of the
Oh,
minutes.
okay, then that's
So
what I-
that was, I believe that's what we did in our last meeting. We identified what the amendment needed to be. Ms. Diane Bigham made the amendment, and she resubmitted them. I actually just stepped into her office last week, or I believe, and signed the meeting minute books, which a lot of board members need to go back there and sign those minutes that you guys need to sign as well when you were in positions. There's vice president, I believe, VP and secretary, and president signatures that are still needed in that minute book, so we could be compliant all the way around.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And then I'll come in there and let you know the minutes that's not in what I don't have. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Harris.
All right, thank you. If there aren't any questions,
Yeah, I do have one more, and this is regarding the claim docket. That's a statement, and that maybe Attorney Harris can shed light on this. As I was reviewing the minutes, the claim docket, there's a charge on there from, I believe it was December 2nd, for attorney fees for the policy committee meeting. I believe the total was $850 or thereabouts for that meeting. I'm trying to understand the contract that we just approved with the law firm. List that there's 30 hours that are provided to the board, and that beyond the 30 hours, then we start incurring fees at an hourly rate. But if we're at December 2nd, I don't understand that we could have gotten through 30 hours in 2 days. So I
I
don't know
believe
if
you submitted that in your questions as well in the email, correct?
Yes, that was, yeah, and that, but
Okay.
the superintendent asked me to communicate with Attorney Harris. They did try to call him earlier today, but I'm trying to understand how that process works.
Yes, so typically, any invoicing that is for hours spent is for a prior period of time, not for the current month that we're in. So what I'll do is sit down with you so that you understand what the relevant periods are in the hourly invoices. The way it works with our office, just so, because you know the attorneys that are involved, typically under the retainer invoice, which has the 30-hour threshold, that's all my time. So all my time,
Okay.
we're here at these meetings,
Understood.
executive sessions, calls, emails, that falls under the retainer. When we have special projects and other things, typically that's Attorney Snow or paralegals, et cetera. So that's the difference that you'll see in the two different invoices.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for itemizing it in the invoice, because it is listed there. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee King,
No.
Trustee Gomez.
No.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Madam President Taylor.
Yes. All right, moving on to new business. Item 6.01, approval of resolution of school consolidation of Cary Gosh Early Learning Center. Are there any comments from the audience?
Well, good evening, Board. My name is Reggie Tisdale, 4801 Walsh Avenue, south side of East Chicago, which is really the best side. Anyway, before I comment on that, I'd like to say Mr. Whiteman's assessment was very interesting. Somebody who's worked in every one of these buildings in 35 years. They're all still workable. May need to do some Band-Aids, but I don't know where you're going to get any money to, fix whatever he's talking about. Now, in regards to the Cary Gosh Learning Center, you want to be good stewards of the taxpayers, and I'm a taxpayer of a couple of properties, and you got to be fiscally responsible. How in the world can you keep a building open with 93 kids? 93 kids. It costs $1.8 million to run that facility. It's just not responsible. Furthermore, in my opinion, I live in the south side of McKinley. I think all those little babies ought to go to McKinley, the neighboring school. There's plenty of rooms there. And I hear this argument about gross motor rooms. Every room can be accommodated for gross motor. So that's basically all I've got to say. There's no way. There's a bunch of people in this room that are employees. And next year around, they're going to talk about funds for this, funds for that. Well, if you don't start saving by consolidating, you're not going to have any funds for anything, especially not the little incremental raises. So I'm definitely in favor, and I'm definitely in favor. I'll do more of my own research as a union officer. I've been researching for years, and to me, that's a no-brainer. That's a 5-0 vote. Shut her down. That guy over there said it's the worst building we got. So anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the audience?
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Gonzalez. I come to you as a parent, and as a worker of Cary Gosh. Now, my son was not very sociable in the beginning when he first started going there. My son has medical problems. I was told by the doctors that my son was not going to be able to do the things that he's doing now, okay? With the workers from Cary Gosh working with my son one-on-one, my son has come so far. My son is walking. When he first got there, he couldn't walk. He had braces. He had to be helped to walk, okay? My son couldn't eat on his own. This boy eats everything on his own now. He's eating whatever he wants. Things that we were told that my son could never do, the people at Cary Gosh helped my son because they have that time to work on him. They were able to work on him, and I am grateful, and I thank God that they were there. Now, I work there now, and I see the struggles of what the teachers have to go with these children. Now, if these children are put in a school with bigger and older kids, they're not going to have that one-on-one time. So I'm sorry, Mr. Tisdale. We are needed, okay? They are very much needed. Now, we come for these kids, and we come every day, and we do one-on-one with these kids. And it's not just the kids that we are assigned to in our classroom. We work with these kids the whole school. How many schools in McKinley, in Lincoln, in Central, at Washington could say that they know their students name by name? I am one of those teachers, a paras that knows my students by name. And not just them, their families. Okay, so it is very, very, very important that these kids stay with their age group, because they are not going to get that same one-on-one attention when they go with the bigger kids. It's not going to work because there's not going to be enough. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the audience?
Good evening. Suzanne Chick, social worker at Kirigash Elementary, and proud to serve the school city of East Chicago for the past 26 years in all of the buildings. So I want to thank President Taylor for coming to visit our school last week and spending significant time touring our facility. I also want to thank all of the board members and Dr. Bornay, who has come many times. And if you haven't been to Kirigash yet, please come and visit our facility. So Mr. Tisdale was in error. We actually have 152 students, and 45 students are special needs students. They have qualified as special ed students. So, of course, we know that there is a shortfall in the money in School City of East Chicago. This goes beyond money because this facility is unique in that it has attained a level 3 in Path to Quality. It is licensed in a way that will not be able to be achieved if these preschool classrooms are rehomed in the elementary schools. The facilities will not come close to what we have at our current Kirigash building. Our staff is highly trained and has achieved 20+ hours in iLead every single year. We are required to do that. And that is for our certification, our licensing, and that, again, will not be at that same level. Kirigash is vital to closing the opportunity gap. The opportunity gap is the gap between what is happening in low-income areas versus those that are middle and high-income areas. We need not just daycare facilities, we need high-quality early learning centers to be in our community, which has a free and reduced rate of about 80% of our students. That is significant poverty. And that's why we need a center like Kirigash to help close this opportunity gap, which is directly related to the achievement gap. The achievement gap, which you will see as far as test scores, is a big gap when you compare more affluent communities like just south of us, Griffith, or Highland, as compared to our urban centers of East Chicago, Ham and Gary, okay? That is a very big reason we need Kirigash to stay open. There are so many reasons, and many parents responded to the petition to keep our doors open. Presently, 645 people have signed that, and I hope the school board members have read that petition. I hope you have. We have a shortfall of money. I have a couple questions in regard to that. So last week when we met with Dr. Bornay, I asked you, in an attempt to close the funding gap, you are saying that you're going to close Kirigash. And I asked you, does that mean closing the Kirigash building? Or will that building stay open and be used for another purpose? And at that time you said used for another purpose. So how can we save money if the building itself is going to still stay open? I don't know if that question can be answered at this time. Can it be answered at this time? How can we save money if the building is still going to remain open and all the staff is going to go to other buildings, but still there will be the payroll expenses? How could there be a savings?
Thank you for your question, Ms. Chick. So the answer to that question last week was we'll repurpose that building. Right now, the plans for repurposing that building hasn't been finalized. They will be detailed and communicated to, obviously, our school board of trustees as well as the community as we approach resolution.
So that building will still be open and will still have operating expenses of all the utilities and maintenance and such things, so that it just raises the question, why can't it stay open for children and also be a home to other programs or other staff? Everybody wonders, to save money, why not sell this building and administrators be rehomed in another building, Central, Kerry Gosh, et cetera? That's a big question in many people's minds. Another question comes up about title. It's very hard to get an answer about title monies, title funding. That's kind of mysterious as to what happened. I tried to look it up and get some kind of hard data as far as title funding spanning from before COVID all the way to the present. And I could not get side-by-side numbers for those years. But I did get an article that came up that was referring to a school board meeting in November, which talked about how the employee that was in charge of federal grants had resigned, and many people were told that that person had missed some crucial deadlines as far as securing our title funding. So I wanted to ask you or our Chief Financial Officer, if Ms. Simmons is still here, how much money did we lose as far as title? That's one question, if you could answer that. And is that money coming back, or has it come back? Because when I look at this article, it was saying Title 1 to 4 allocations totaling roughly $4.3 million. So I was wondering if that money ever came back to us.
Madam President, if I could, just.
Yes, Attorney
obviously,
Harris.
this is a public comment portion of the meeting. In order to make sure that we're able to keep the meeting on track, I do recommend that you keep the comments to 3 minutes, let people make their comment, but it's not a question and answer session. If there are questions to be had, obviously they can submit them and the superintendent can respond or designate a staff member to respond. But if you engage in a question and answer, you could be here all night without giving everyone an opportunity to speak. So I just encourage you to do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Ms. Schick, I encourage you to stick around after the meeting, and we could possibly remind you of some of the things that Executive Business Director Leila Simmons did share earlier. One of the things was that there was a carryover of the title dollars that are going to be moving on to next year, but we could chat a little bit more after the meeting for the sake of time, if that's okay.
Thank you. To wrap it up, I hope that all of our board members will vote not only with a mind to the finances and the bottom line, but also with a conscience and an eye to service of children. Children first. And early learning is proven in the research, early education, to have the greatest gains for communities. The dollars spent have the greatest return on investment. And to gut our program, our facilities, and disperse the children will devastate
Thank you.
that.
Thank
So
you.
I hope and pray that there's some way to keep our Kerry Gosh open. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We have more comments from the audience.
Good evening. Deborah Williams, 2114 Cardinal Drive. Been a citizen of Chicago longer than I want to say. We are at a crucial time right now, East Chicago citizens, certainly board members and Dr. Bournet. We better pay close attention to what we are doing and the decisions we are making about our children, the little folks. Rita Daniels got up here last week. She told you about the sacrifices they had to make. It wasn't a choice. They had to make them. They wrote grants. It would feel real good, a whole lot better, if you would be a little more transparent and suggest or share in a meeting with the principal of Kerry Gosh, and we need to give her a round of standing applause. I've heard the word, oh, we're going to close it down. We're going to close it down. You better pay attention to what you're doing. Your money is an item. This current government, shame on them. The funding it's an issue. But these babies are an issue. That darn Erica Glenn hit the ground running, and she did the same with Daria Rancifer. Hit the ground running. And if you haven't gone to Kerry Gosh, you need to take your behinds over there and see. She got rid of the furniture, put some furniture in that children feel good in. You walk in that building and children, whatever background, ethnic group they come from. Hi, how are you? Little Hispanic boy last week, his mom had to come early. Hi, mother, what are you doing here? He didn't speak in Spanish, although he can. So pay attention. We're going to shut it down. Well, maybe you need to be a little more transparent. Some money possibly could have been raised. Believe in yourselves. Believe in the children. And we can raise money to do what's needed if we believe in one another. Pay attention to what's going on in the news, folks.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt. We're at time. All right, are there any other comments from the audience before I move forward? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse my English. I'm here today because I'm really concerned about my child. I do want to say my child was, he attends before Kerry Gosh. We never had a problem. It's a wonderful school. My name is Cristo Cerritos, and I'm the mother of Camilo Cerritos. He attends now to Lincoln School. I'm really concerned. After Christmas break, his regular teacher is out. So he's been having a different SAP every day. And he's been, my child is wheelchair bound and not verbal. He's been coming home with marks.
Madam Chair, excuse me. I believe this is related to a separate issue. If she could hold your comments until the public forum. And
Is this in regards to the Kerry Gosh closing, or is it separate?
It's separate.
Okay, so maybe at the end of the meeting, I'll have a section for public comment. Thank you, Trustee Gomez. Are there any other comments from the audience before I move forward? Is there a motion to approve item 6.01, approval of resolution of school consolidation of Kerry Gosh Early Learning Center? Before I do that, Attorney Harris, could you kind of give a quick overview of the resolution itself and what it entails?
Yes, so the resolution is intended to provide the basis for the recommendation made by the superintendent to close the building itself. Obviously, in reviewing the resolution, it's clear that it's not the intent of the administration to stop providing services to the students or these children, but rather to make a financial recommendation to the board in light of the lack of funding or the shortfall in funding due to the changes in the state law. So this resolution is pretty short and concise in terms of outlining the basis for the recommendation. It outlines the statutory authority that the board has to make the decision to close a school, and ultimately makes that a public record of the decision made by the board. So this is a recommended resolution from the administration to the board.
So Attorney Harris, I'm sorry, Madam President. So Attorney Harris, so you said it's just it's a resolution, but it's just based on a recommendation.
It is a recommendation at this point. There's a draft of a resolution. It doesn't have any effect until you vote on it. So, yes.
So in the event, if we were to vote on it, possibly at a later date, I'm just saying, anything can happen. I'm a praying woman. I believe miracles. So I'm just saying, in the event, if that was to happen, could this be amended? I'm just saying.
So I think I understand your question. So there is always a possibility of revisiting the issue of having a building that's dedicated, similar to how Kirigashi is now, but having a building dedicated to provide the same type of curriculum that's currently being provided now. However, right now, the recommendation is from the administration is to focus on cost cutting in direct response to the lack of funding being provided by the state. So again, it doesn't mean that we can't return to this type of scenario in the future if funding were to permit.
Okay.
But right now, I believe this is one of several steps that the superintendent is going to be recommending to the board in order to respond to the lack of funding that's being provided by the state. And I don't mean to put words in the superintendent's mouth, but that's my understanding that this is one of several items that will be presented to the board.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, is it time for us to speak, Madam
No, we have to
Okay, well,
do a roll call first, and then
Okay.
we'll have comments from the board.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
I don't know that you have a motion yet, do you?
No, I'm
No,
about to
we
ask for, I asked for a motion to approve item .601, approval of resolution of school consolidation of Kerry Gosh Early Learning Center. Do I get a motion for approval?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval.
Motion made by trustee Smith. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by trustee Rodriguez. Are there any comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes,
I'm
trustee
looking at
Gibson
some
King.
documents that I was given from Principal Mrs. Rancifer. Now, there's something in here, the CCDF, that's some dollars that she was in receipt of, but she never spent these dollars. Principal Rancifer, she never spent the dollars. One of them was for $40,000, another one was for $73,000. Then there's a document that I have here that the grant writer person that's not here was supposed to have submitted a grant for $20,000. That was not submitted. Then there's also some documentation here that they received ESSER and COVID grant dollars. At that time, they did receive these dollars. Now, there are a lot of grants that was written for the school to maintain. Is Mrs. Simmons here? Because what I want to know is, how much money did the school have to pay in order to put with these dollars that they got these grants with to run the school? That's what I'd like to know. What amount of money did we put towards these programs that Mrs. Daniels wrote, MOUs, what have you not, for dollars and what have you not? They got dollars from the Foundation of East Chicago, and then there was ESSER dollars that was used for materials that have not been used, by understanding. I've been to that school several times. My church is a pastor. That's our school, pre-K. That's the only school that I say that is a thriving school. But there's there Ms. Simmons is. Ms. Simmons, can you come to the mic, please?
I can't see though, because I walked out without my glasses.
Oh, that's fine. Me and you even then. So how much money has been put towards Kerry Gosh with all these grants that I have a copy of? And I'm quite sure the board will get a copy of them as well, that's been put towards the school to maintain. How much money have how much money have the school district provided?
So to maintain Kerry Gosh in 1 year, in the 2024, I'm sorry, what school year we just finished? 24-25 school year, it was $2.1 million to keep that school going. That's including with salaries, including with the maintenance, including anything that we would normally do for kids, including supplies, including utilities.
Right.
Everything. So over a year, it cost me $2.1 million just for last year to keep the facility going. I do know about one particular grant that Mrs. Ransford talking about. I think you said the initial money that came in was $40,000.
Yeah, there was one for 40,000, one for 73,000.
Okay, so the one for $40,000 came in at the end of last school year. Over time, she has used some of that funding. Also, the one that she's referring to was the 70,000. I'm not for sure.
73,000.
Okay, I'm not for sure what grant that was. Also, prior in 2023 or 22, there was a grant also written for Kerry Gosh for maintenance. And that particular grant was over $700,000. So that grant actually we used to put a roof over at Kerry Gosh.
Yes, I got that.
Okay. As far as anything else coming in, Kerry Gosh was initially put together by a loan from the state treasurer, $3 million. And that was when they went into the building in 2016.
That's with Paige McNaughton.
Under all of that, from that time on, that money had been used to redo the building, upgrade anything in there that we had. So as far as funding coming in, yes, I do receive a funding, I do believe twice a month from something from the state, and I do believe it's something to do with the children that comes in. But that is possibly maybe $750 a month. Other than that, I have not received anything else.
Okay.
I think you might be referring to On My Way Pre-K, is that what it is?
Yes, that is,
Yeah.
that is, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. And I was a part of that opening of Kerry Gosh. And the stipulations were that we weren't going to get a lot of money for that particular school, even though we got the grants and put all that money into that $750,000 we put into that. I was a part of that. I was on the board. So was Trustee
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, I'm sorry. And when we started that particular project, we knew that we weren't going to get all of the money from the state, but we did not figure or have any idea that 2024 was going to take place, because prior to that, we could have sustained, am I correct, Kerry Gosh, with the monies from the On My Way to Pre-K and with the grants?
So the original reason of Kerry Gosh, to my knowledge, when I came in to the district was, and I think it was the second year, is that it was a grow your own. So basically is that we got the students in, we expected the students to filter into our into our elementaries. Over
Correct.
60% of them did not filter into our elementary schools. So we were steady taking kids in, and they were going other places outside of the district for the education when they went to kindergarten.
Those
So
dollars follow the child wherever they go.
Right.
that dollars
Right,
follow the
because
child
if
wherever
I'm
they
not
go.
And you're absolutely
Right,
correct.
because a lot
it was
of-
supposed
a lot
to
of
be,
this-
it was supposed to, during that time, it was supposed to be grow your
had a lot
own.
of students.
Once they left Kerry Gosh Pre-K, they should have transferred, hopefully, into
Elementary schools.
our kindergarten.
Correct.
But they didn't do that. Some of them, after they came through our Pre-K, they went to other districts. Am I correct?
Correct. So we did a survey every year at the end of the school year of how many actually filtered into the our elementary schools, and there were very low numbers.
Madam Chair? if I'm
Yes,
not
Trustee Gibson King.
mistaken, Ms. Simmons, a lot of these kids they didn't live in our district. That's one reason why they did not filter into our education, because these kids came from everywhere. It was not mandatory that they live where we live, because we was the first pre-K school, if I'm not mistaken, that had such a program. Am I right?
Yes, we were.
And this came up under Paige McNaughton. So that's one reason why, just like right now, the kids that are coming from other districts in our schools, they don't live here, the same scenario, from my understanding.
As of currently, no. We actually have all of East Chicago residents.
I know, that's what I know. So we didn't get it all straight.
Okay.
But
Are
thank
there
you,
any
Ms.
other
Thank you,
comments from
Madam
the
Chair.
board? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other comments from the board?
Yes, I have a couple questions, and I was going to make the same comment that my colleague trustee Gibson King made. When we started that, there was no oversight on kids. I sat in on a Christmas concert, and I happened to talk to a couple of the parents that were at my table. Two of the sets of parents, I asked them where they lived, and they lived in Chicago. So they weren't paying into this, yet we were providing them services. So clearly a lack of accountability, of oversight and accountability. That was a failure on the district's part.
Intake part.
I think one of the issues that I have now that I've heard from Ms. Chick and Ms. Daniels, it was, and I'm glad they came, and I'm glad the parents came and spoke. This puts a face on what's otherwise numbers, and I'm really wanting to see that the district continues to thrive. I'm not sure it's going to be able to thrive successfully, given all the promise that's come out of the Early Learning Center lately. I think this question, well, I also just want to make just a side comment that we have a finance committee on this board, and we've had that for years. I don't think that the finance committee, as whoever was sitting on it over the years, really, and more specifically at the tail end of last year, considered what the future of this Senate Bill 1 was going to be and how it was going to impact our school district. I wish we'd have done more, but that's water under the bridge right now. My question is for Dr. Bournet right now. Ms. Chick mentioned that we're now a level 3, is that correct? And Ms. Ransford, we were a level, what level were we when you came in? Level 1. So we've made significant progress in that building, and I understand that you were moving towards a level 4. I'm wondering, how does this work now, Dr. Bournet, if we're going to disperse these kids into their home schools, and you've laid out, excuse me, a plan of sorts to both us and the community of how that might look. What impact does that have for pre-K and getting buildings at level where we're at right now with Ms. Ransford?
Thank you, Trustee Gomez, if I may. So there are two things that we communicated, will reiterate. One is that we are transitioning in the new, or with this downsizing, to a different program that won't be paths to quality, which is the rating scale that you referred to, which was, we're on level 3 and we're approaching level 4. And as a result of that, because they will be part of the elementary building, a Indiana-approved pre-kindergarten program, that is where the program will be slightly different. And so there are a number of early learning standards that they will still follow, but it's a different program. So that rating won't come into factor moving forward.
And would that impact any potential for us to receive funding as we move away from this program right now?
That is also correct. So because they will be part of the elementary building, they will receive a significantly more amount per student as opposed to they did when they were at the early learning center.
Okay. Just final question. If there's a level of comfort, it's up to you, Ms. Ransford. I know you've had an opportunity to speak, but before we vote, is there something you'd like to say to the board?
Good evening, school board and everybody that's here. I was asked to be the principal of Kerry Gosh Early Learning Center while I was on vacation. I took the challenge and I researched and learned all about early learning. I also was an advocate when I worked in Indianapolis with an early childhood center when it started with Paths to Quality when I lived in Indianapolis in 2004. When I took the challenge, I decided to go in and push forward. I met with Erica Glenn, the former principal of Kerry Gosh Early Learning Center, and she taught me about how to get the school through each level. She taught me about what to do for the state. And ever since I've been the principal, we've had a perfect score with our state visits. It's been a lot of work. There are 187 pages of Path to Quality that we've met. More importantly, Erica Glenn and Miss Rita Daniels wrote a lot of grants to make that building to be preschool ready. And when we say preschool ready, everything is for their height and their size. Every playroom, the Caterpillar room, the slides room, the Chicago Children's Museum room, the gym, all the tykes and bikes, everything that we have, the playground, all of those things were built by grants that cannot be replaced. What's going to happen with that play area? The elementary schools do not have play areas that will fit our children. Our children have to have play areas that fit their needs. Right now, Lincoln's playground is not operable. Right now, Washington Elementary does not have a playground that is operable for our children. Give us the opportunity to fundraise. Give us an opportunity to see what we can get from our stakeholders in the community. I have not been told about how deficit we were in funding. Otherwise, I would have tried to find ways to fundraise, to get money, to see grants, but I didn't have that opportunity. Those things were not told to me that my school was in trouble. If it was in trouble, I would have taken flight to do something about the trouble, whereas finding out last week, 20 minutes before my staff found out. I was crushed and I was devastated, but more importantly, I'm worried about the children. We are the only state testing facility for special education for preschool students in the entire city of East Chicago. That means if a student has disabilities, if a student has special needs, if a student comes from foster care, we take those students in, no questions asked, and we provide them the services that they need. For example, the young man that's a student at Central High School, his brother was one of those students who came to Kerry Gosh who had different needs, and we made sure that we made that student ready for Washington Elementary School where he is today. And that brother is thankful along with his parent. Kerry Gosh is just not like any other school. It's the only testing facility for special education in the entire city of East Chicago for children under the age of 5. We service children in wheelchairs. We have students with G-tubes, students who cannot chew, who cannot eat. We have students who come in with bottles, who cannot walk, who cannot talk. And we work as a staff. We get 20 hours of ILEAD certificates and certifications myself. I just came back from NACCE to get level 4, and now it's just going to be dispersed along with the staff. It's all about the children, and the children come first. It's all about the grants that somebody wrote for everything that's created in that building. That means that playground will go to waste, the slide room, the Caterpillar room, the Cardinal Town, the gym, the tykes, the bikes, all of those things will go to waste, and our children will not have them in that facility because it is designed for them. Somebody laid the groundwork. Let's not waste all of that money that somebody put into making Kerry Gosh what it is. I'm just the leader of the school, but these staff members, they make it happen every single day. I have so many events that we have at that school for families. And last but not least, if we close Kerry Gosh, we close the Parent Cafe. I have 20 vendors, partners in the community that come and work inside of our school. We have to demolish all of those partnerships with HealthLink, Top 20, Regional Mental Health. All the services that children need are right there in the building. Why would we get rid of that and make that building vacant? When we're still going to pay the bills in the building, we're still going to pay for the water and the heat, we're still going to pay for the building to operate, but let's have it operating with children. If it closes, it's okay. I have talked to my staff. I'm going to keep it positive because that's the type of leader that I am. But I hope that you continue to do the service of East Chicago students, and that's children first, and give us an opportunity to see what we can raise. I never had that opportunity, and I think that we should have that first before you decide to close us down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ransford. I do have one more comment, and that's that I want to remind the board when, and Trustee Rodriguez was on the board here at the time that we did this, we moved the the block junior high to a middle school framework. And I remember this boardroom being fairly packed with parents who had concerns that my first grader is going to be exposed to kids who are sixth graders in that same building. And now you're putting kids even younger than that and exposing them to those kids. This plan may have been, I think maybe there's an opportunity to, I guess my concern is also the safety of the children. So if perhaps we considered moving or redesigning a block to make it a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I might feel a little more comfortable. Absent that, I'm glad the parents, the principal, the staff came and spoke. It opened my eyes to another side of the story. And I think that helped me make a decision.
Thank you, Trustee Gomez. Any other board comments?
I have a question for the superintendent with regards to the $3.2 million shortfall that we were working on reducing. My question is, by closing down Kerry Gosh, what would that framework look like in terms of the reduction of that on an annual basis?
Thank you, Trustee Rodriguez. So as we stated earlier, this is part of one element of our efforts to right-size the district, right-sizing district in terms of matching and aligning our student enrollment with the number of facilities, the number of staff, to provide adequate services to meet the needs of students. So when we talk about shortfall, we do not expect to gain that $2 million by just closing that one building that first year. There is a number of other factors in place, such as reduction in staff, closing this facility is one aspect, and also the elimination of other programs, such as a technology platform that is not effectively used to contribute to that reduction or hitting that number. Similarly, we also have capital improvement projects that align with that same structure of how do we capture those funds. And so there is this delicate balance that we do as we try to make sure that we're improving the facilities across our corporation, as well as making sure that we are making really cost-effective decisions. So as we talk about the $3.2 million, we also have to look down the road and anticipate the increased loss of property taxes from our public non-charter schools, our public charter schools, as well as now our non-public schools who will also have access to some of our property taxes. So there are a number of factors that we have that are competing with this decision. But part of what we decide to do with the building and repurposing the building is also part of how we repurpose. So we will not lose those 20 partnerships. We're not demolishing our parent cafe. That parent cafe will exist in other forms across the corporation.
Madam Chair, I would like to say something.
Yes, Student Representative Ayala.
Good evening, all. Like Ms. Ransford said, I had a little brother who went to Kerry Gosh Early Learning Center. He has autism. He was nonverbal at the time. Thanks to Ms. Ransford, Ms. Chick, Ms. Wilson, his preschool teacher, he has improved a lot. And it's all thanks to Kerry Gosh Early Learning Center. Every day he wants to go to school. He's so excited about being in school. He even misses Kerry Gosh. He keeps asking about it every day. Miss Ransford, where is she? And the fact that Miss Ransford knew every single one of these kids at the graduation ceremony she would highlight each and every single one, every single kid. And I would like to thank Ms. Rancifer for really changing my brother's life. And it's not just one student. It could be thousands of kids that have the same disability or worse disabilities than my brother, and they can improve. And I was wondering if maybe there could be like other changes or stuff that the board could see and stuff that could possibly impact the children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Rodriguez, I'm sorry, were you?
Yes.
I don't want to cut in, but Trustee Gomez, let me correct you on something. You were not on this board when that facility was created. You came after. I was on that finance committee. I understood and I knew where those funding dollars came from. I was there when they designed the parent university with all of the windows, and as they began to design the rooms, the soft room, the pink room, I was there when they did the library. So for you to say that somebody was not paying attention in finances until you know the actual facts, don't make that statement. I feel like there was a committee, there was a whole committee. Ms. Rancifer was brought in because of her expertise and her knowledge with those children. She did help build that. She did. But not only did she help build it, she also had other people like myself, and fundraisers and monies were flowing and grants were provided to do that. So to say that somebody on the finance committee should have warned us, we did not have any idea that all of this was going to trickle down in 204. So how dare you put that on a finance committee? And this is, I know this is not a public meeting, but that kind of teed me off to say what you don't know about. If you don't know about it, then doggone it, don't speak about it. Because I know what it took to build Kerry Gosh. You weren't there. I don't even think you've been there. And if you have, you just did. But during the making of the development of that school, where were you? So how dare you? Don't ever do that again. Don't do that again. I know what her work is.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee.
No, I don't want to hear it anymore. I've said what I had to say. I know her work. I know what her staff does. I don't want to see this happen anyway. I don't want to see this go. But we have to think about this. We don't have the finances. 2024 took place. And when that took place, the whole freaking America changed. When the first 100 days that President Trump took in, the first thing he said was, I'm taking away education. He did not stammer and he did not stumble. He said immigration and education was the number one thing. So when you went to Washington, if you didn't pay attention, shame on you. And I don't want to hear anything else about what you got to say, because you just pissed me the hell off.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Trustee Smith. If I can now interject.
Madam Chair, I just
Trustee Gomez,
I
I'm
was
sorry, but I
making
think you
reference
spoke 2 times.
to Ms. Rancifer.
Madam President.
Trustee Gomez, I believe you already spoke twice on this item. If we can move forward, I would greatly appreciate it for the sake of time. I would like to say something. You guys, we are really holding 2 truths at one time. And we need to be honest about that. We need to be realistic. We are literally holding 2 truths at one time. The need is real, and the financial reality is just as real. Both things can be true, but they are, and that's exactly why this decision is so hard. We don't want to do this. This is not something that we woke up saying, hey, let's flip a card and see what we're going to do today. That's why I spent time at Kerry Gosh last week, because I want to make sure I'm making an informed decision, not an emotional decision, okay? So I spent time there, and I think Ms. Rancifer, my goodness, the most organized woman I've met in my life.
Yes, she is.
I left out of there with no questions, and no room for questions. And the questions I did have, within 24 hours, I had it right here, all my answers right here. But the answers also were a little heartbreaking, because again, we just shared how much funding was generated from 24 and 25. I believe for 24 was like $43,000. You all, the claim docket is uploaded. $43,000, $43,076 was just our NIPSCO bill alone for Kerry Gosh last month. Alone for Kerry Gosh. So yes, that building is intentional. That building is resourceful. And I could tell you guys are passionate about these children. And I saw the love that these children have for you all as well. I was there while the kids were there. And I see the value and I see the impact. And I want to make this very clear that this resolution is no reflection on the work that you guys are doing. This resolution is no reflection on the work that you guys are doing. That work is valuable, and I am so confident that you guys could duplicate that again. But at our August, and just to touch on who knew what and why wasn't this exposed sooner, and the finance team should have said something. On August 20th last year, we had a budget meeting.
Yes, we did.
Go on YouTube and go look it up. I also went back and reviewed that meeting again. Our financial advisor plainly told us at that meeting, if we don't make a hard decision right now, our payroll checks will be bouncing in 2028. 2 years will be here in the blink of an eye. Okay? Not only that, like Dr. Bonet just explained, our property tax reduced funding. Not only is it reduced, but the little bit we get, we got to share with our charter schools now. We have 2 charter schools in East Chicago. There was representation here in our last community meeting, if you were paying attention. Okay? So these are tough realities, but they're real. So my responsibility, our responsibility tonight isn't just making a decision based on what should have happened in the past. Because yes, there are some questions about grants and missed opportunities. I don't deny that.
Thank you.
And those questions are being looked at with accountability, and they're at the executive table right now as we speak. But I cannot govern or make a decision of the future of this district just based on hindsight. So I have to govern based on the facts that are in front of me, in front of us, and those facts hurt. They're painful. This isn't about just one building, you guys. This is about the stability of the entire district. So as Ms. Leila Simmons stated, right now it costs $2.3 million a year just to run Kerry Gosh. That state revenue is tied into that program that just brought in the $40,000 in 24 and the $70,000 in 25. And we're asking, well, where did the money go? How did we spend it? I know there's rules and regulations and you know, restrictions on how we spend that money, but Leila also said that legally she had to move money from the education fund to the operation fund to keep operating. Because here's the reality, you guys. If we say, let's keep Kerry Gosh open, and I say, hey, we're going to keep it open, but we need to cut at least 45% of your salary. How is that going to look for your home? And if your home is in disarray, you're not going to perform to your utmost potential. And if you're not performing at your utmost potential, the very children you're trying to protect are going to be the ones hurting. So I believe in my heart that you guys could duplicate this. You guys have the passion, have the expertise, have the education to do this. I'm the numbers person. Y'all the education people. So let's just lock hands. This is not about a reflection on you all. It is the numbers that we have before us. Crown Point schools, look it up. They just closed their birth to school early learning program in 2025 at the end of the year. They cut positions. That's not happening here. Hammond closed schools, Gary closed schools, Crown Point, this was all last year. They cut positions. We are asking you all, let's reallocate, reduplicate so that we don't have to cut positions and still service our children wherever they're at. So that's all I want to put out there, that, yeah, we were aware. All of us were aware. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to take the hit as a board, because when he gave that budget meeting on August 20th, Dr. Bonet presented, September 23rd, is on YouTube as well, he presented his recommendations. It's the board's job to steer and gear that. But we had other agendas that prioritized it. We didn't touch on it until now.
No, we did not.
And we're gonna take that hit. So forgive me, I'm hurt for both sides. I'm really hurt for both sides because it's a tough position to be in. But we have to do the responsible thing. even if it hurts. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
No.
Trustee Gomez?
No.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Next on your agenda is approval of ESS addendum paraprofessionals, 6.02. Are there any questions from the audience? Hearing none, may I get a motion to approve 6.02, approval of ESS addendum for paraprofessionals?
Madam President, make a motion to approve item 6.02.
Motion made by trustee Rodriguez. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Smith. Are there any comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to
Yes,
ask,
trustee Gibson King.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, question here. Now, we're talking about addendum, the ESS. Now, I asked you a question. When is their contract up?
So that was a 6-month contract.
Right.
I don't know if Dr. Bournet wants to add to that, but just so you are aware, this addendum that's in front of you now doesn't affect that term. It is still for that shorter term agreement. The only thing this addendum is doing is including a change to the rates for 2 specific positions in the agreement. That's the only change this is.
Yeah, I understand that, but you haven't answered my question. When is their contract up?
Do you have a specific date, Dr. Bournet?
That's what I want to know, because it will have something if
We're asking this
the
question
contract
every
is up
meeting.
tomorrow. Right? Ain't that right, Ms. Harris?
Yes, you're right.
Thank you. I appreciate that now.
We'll probably anticipate this question every meeting, every time we add an addendum.
Yeah.
According to our contract that we executed, the term of the contract started in September
September of '25, right?
and through the end of the school year, June 30th.
But it's a 6-month contract, right, Ms. Harris? You say you was gonna look this, hold on, Mr. Burnett. Didn't you say you was gonna look this up? So that's why I kept, every meeting
Understood.
that I said that you was gonna revisit that and see, it was for 6 months. Because you said that we needed to see how they were gonna, how this was gonna work out.
I
And
understand.
you said
I
that
think
we,
the final, I understand.
Okay,
I think
thank
the final
you.
version was just intended to take us through the school year so that you don't have a gap for 2 months, for example.
Thank you for.
okay, that's what's my question then. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, trustee Gibson King. I just have one question, Dr. Bournet. And can you remind me, does the ESS provide bilingual subs and paras? Or do we have an issue getting bilingual staff?
Yes, well, I'll answer the latter question. Yes, we do have an issue making sure that we have bilingual staff. So ESS does provide to our request, obviously, Spanish-speaking and bilingual pairs. So this new addendum will be a new territory for them as they start to recruit and train those staff who are bilingual. But that will meet the needs of any of our paraprofessionals.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
No.
Trustee Gomez? Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Next on the agenda is item 6.03, discussion of AARP host agency agreement. Are there any questions from the audience? Hearing none, do I get a motion? Can I get a motion to approve item 6.03?
This one's just for discussion.
Just for discussion? Okay. Are there any discussions from the board on item 6.03?
Is this, got a question with regards to
Yes, Trustee
AARP.
Rodriguez.
Is this a, sort of like a supplemental type of discount, or how does AARP work?
Yes. So
I'm
we
getting
already
close to-
have an MOU with AARP. It is specifically for McKinley. When we had them start last year, the board expressed a desire for them to work across the entire district. And so funding prevented them from doing that at the beginning of this year. So now they do have increased funding, and now they are able to provide AARP retired volunteers across the corporation. So now this host agreement allows them to do that.
Attorney Harris, is there a reason why it's not a board action, or?
This is just the first time it's coming before the board. So pursuant to your policy, it will come the first time, you'll see it as a discussion item, and then it'll come back next time.
Okay. As a form of a policy, or,
It'll come back in the form of an actual request for an approval of the agreement itself.
oh, the agreement itself, okay, gotcha.
Are there any other discussions on this item? All right, hearing none. Moving over to item 6.04, approval to accept the high ability grant. Are there any comments from the board, from the audience? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 6.04?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve item 6.04.
Motion made by
Second.
trustee
I second it, Madam Chair.
Smith, second by trustee Gibson King. Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving over to item 6.05, approval of professional development. Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 6.05, approval of professional development request?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve 6.05.
Motion made by trustee Smith. Can I get a
Second.
second? Second by trustee Rodriguez. Are there any comments from the board? Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving over to item 6.06, approval of school board calendar dates. Are there any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 6.06, approval of school board calendar dates?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion made by trustee Gibson King. Can I
Second.
get a second by trustee Rodriguez? Any comments from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Moving over to the last item, item 6.07, approval of personnel report. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 6.07, approval of personnel report?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve 6.07.
Motion made by trustee Smith. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Rodriguez. Any comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Attorney Harris a question about that we had a hiring freeze.
I don't recall, as I sit here right now, a resolution where we approved or a hiring freeze. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that off the top of my head.
Well, I have some notes on it, okay? Dr. Bonet, do you know?
Dr. Bonet, could you address that, please?
Address the hiring freeze, please.
Yes, so at the beginning of the school year, there was a pause in hiring to reflect the actual allocations of funding that was uncertain, which were title funded positions. Since that allocation has been released, we have hired based on an as-needed basis, which means we take those hiring decisions at a school-by-school level.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gibson. Trustee Gibson King, are there any other comments from the board? Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King?
No.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. Now moving on, going on to public forum. Do you have the list?
We have one more item.
Oh, we do have one more item.
6.08.
Facility use.
Oh, I don't have it on this one. Okay, can I see it?
Oh, this is okay.
All right, next, final item on the agenda, 6.08, approval of facility usage request, East Chicago Central High School parking lot by Local 71. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none, can I get an approval, a motion to approve item 6.08?
Madam President, make a motion to approve
Second.
6.08.
Motion made by trustee Smith, second by trustee Rodriguez. Any comments from the board?
Madam President,
Yes.
If I could, I would just make sure that we're going to require them to sign off on a facility use agreement, and it contains all of our normal requirements with the certificate of insurance. I see Ms. Bigham nodding her head that she's got it covered, so just making
Do
sure.
we have all those items or no? We do not have those items.
We're going to make sure that that happens, all right? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, you have them.
So should we change our board action in terms of having the condition of the certificate
I
of
don't
insurance?
think, no, I don't think you need the condition because that is a requirement for all facilities use. I was just making sure from an administrative perspective, we had that covered, that's all.
No? We do not have that. Okay, so we have not received any of those documents. That was just an email that was sent. And it was a email sent by trustee Gomez, who's not here.
Right.
And out of
I think it's-
courtesy.
I think it's okay that you don't have that at this time, but
Well,
before you allow.
it's for
the use-
Sunday.
Well, before you allow the usage, even if it's on Sunday, you need to make sure you have that paperwork in hand. So if you give that direction to the superintendent, I'm sure he'll make sure that that happens.
So could we, should we approve it with an amendment, with a conditional?
You can do that if you are more comfortable doing it that way.
I am.
Although, okay, then yes, you can do it that way.
Okay.
I didn't make the first motion, or did I?
You made the motion.
Madam Secretary?
He made the first motion?
No.
I did.
Smith,
Oh, Smith.
and then Rodriguez.
So I think the only
got the
question
motion,
to
is the
trustee
vote.
Smith is whether or not she accepts that,
Or
that
cha-
amendment, that addition to the motion, that all the paperwork needs to be submitted. And I'd encourage her to be nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, can I get thank you, trustee Smith. Can I get a motion?
I think that's her motion. You just need a second to.
Oh, okay.
renew.
I'll second that.
And second by trustee Rodriguez.
With the additional, yep.
Are there any comments from the board? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes. All right, thank you. Now that takes us to our public forum.
If you signed up to speak tonight, if you could, please state your name when you get to the podium. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Please also indicate your address. Please refrain from discussing any individual personnel matters and be respectful of the board, the staff members present, and of course, the audience. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Cristo Cerritos. My address is 3828 Fran, East Chicago. I am the mother of Camilo Cerritos, and I'm here today because I am really concerned about him. He attends to Lincoln School. After Christmas break, his regular teacher is not in school, so he's been having different stuff every day. And he's been coming home with marks on his body. My son is wheelchair bound and not verbal. I went to share my concerns with I spoke with the director of special education. She said she was gonna have teacher in the classroom with no license until the regular teacher comes back. She also said that I can go to the office in that moment and request my son's transfer and just transfer him to another district. And then she said, we are giving you the education of a Chevy and a Ford. If you like a Rolls Royce, it's gonna cost you. She also said, my son has a one-on-one para. I'm always asking, what's going on? Like, what happened? The answer is always, I don't know, we don't know. So the director said, I spoke to the para, and the para is really concerned about your son's behavior. What about my concerns as a mother? What about if my son is behaving that way because he's defending himself? She didn't have any answers for me about the marks on my son's body. So the reason I'm here today is I need answers.
Could you stick around after the meeting so that we could chat with you? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to ask a question, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Next person is Sabrina Gonzalez. Sabrina Gonzalez. Sabrina Gonzalez. Okay. Next person is Deborah Williams. Deborah Williams. Deborah Williams. Next person is Reggie Tisdale.
They already gone.
Okay. Gotcha. Next person is Suzanne Chick.
Yes, we spoke at the Kerry Gosh time.
Okay. All right, so that concludes yep, public forum.
Okay, thank you. All right, now moving on to trustee remarks. Trustee Gibson King.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the mother that just got through speaking, I did hear her earlier say that her child was wheelchair bound. Is that right, ma'am? Dr. Bernay, I know at the last meeting that we had at Lincoln School, November the 25th, Dr. Elroy said that he would be moving these students on the second floor. Is that right?
That is correct.
And the reason being is because they were already in a wing. If you go into Lincoln schools, like as if they had their own own institutional school, is what I'm saying that they had, right? But anyway, now I did check with the fire department. Now, if there's a fire, this individual is on the second floor. You can't get in the elevator. And there are some more kids that are not in wheelchairs that are something substitute to this child as well too. How are they going to get out of the building? And they're on the second floor. That's my concern. And I do want to thank you parents for coming out. Continue to come out and advocate for your children, because without you all coming out, a lot of things that we as a board, we would not know. And you continue to come and share your concerns. I like to settle things if possible for our children to make things better. But there's going to be that's a ways to go, but I think that we can start somewhere. I'm not too satisfied with the situation at Kerry Gosh School. I've always said that Kerry Gosh is the only school, in my opinion, that's a thriving school, because they are the little ones there. They have a brain. Their brain can absorb a lot of information. Okay, so Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you,
My
Trustee
concern.
Gibson King. Trustee Rodriguez.
Good evening. I hope everyone is staying safe and warm during this severe weather. I wanted to provide you a vital update on the fiscal year 2026 funding status as we approach January 30th deadline. First, I'd like to announce in Indiana, class of 2025 set a new record for the state of Indiana with 91.8% students earning a high school diploma, the highest percentage in Indiana history. Let's give a round for our students. On a nation's note, earlier this week, the House passed 6 bill appropriation packages. While we expect a smooth path through the Senate, a fatal shooting involving a federal agent in Minneapolis was drastically changed the political landscape. A growing coalition of Democrat senators has now withdrew support for the package due to the inclusion of full-year Department of Homeland Security funding that was coupled with these other fundings. Without their vote, the package is unlikely to advance in its current form. The deadline is this Friday, so I'll definitely keep you updated on that. If that happens, we are now facing a significant risk of a government shutdown this Saturday. The challenges are twofold. We have to look at the timing. The Senate's calendar is compressed by major winter storms this past week, and we have to look at the logistics. The House has adjourned until February 2nd. So any changes to the bill, such as removing the DHS funding, would require a House vote, or going back to the House for a House vote is currently difficult to schedule at this time. The path moving forward is uncertain. National School Board Association is watching for the results of the caucus meetings and to see if a short-term extension is possible. NSBA will also continue to monitor the situation that provides update as it evolves. And I do sit on the board for the National School Board Association. Another note, we have spent a lot of time discussing how to reduce the $3.2 million deficit in our general fund. It's always, I mean, it pretty much it was meeting after meeting. This is something that was recommended by a consultant that we needed to do by the end of 2026, early 2027, and it was also state law that kicked in as well, as SB 1 also significantly reduced our funding as well. I do believe that we have a premier pre-K program in the state, from the principal to the administrators to the faculty to the custodian staff. Every individual plays a vital role in maintaining our excellence for School City of East Chicago. However, the financial reality is unstable. We are currently using part of pre-K to 6 funds to keep our pre-K doors open. While we continue to receive the small grants that was mentioned, they cover only a fraction of the total operation cost. I envision the program where the state provides full, foundational funding supplemented by program income to cover the facilities as well as staffing. Unfortunately, over the past few years, the state has ignored the needs for sustainable funding, mandating the stalling of progress for our younger children and what our children deserves. In closing, I'd like to honor my colleagues for School Board Appreciation Month, including the school board members across our great state. You play a vital role in the work that you do. Take time to celebrate your accomplishments with your community and recognize the collective effort that helps students reach their full potential. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Rodriguez. Trustee Smith.
Before I start, I'd like to say, I apologize, but to the district, that's not part of my character, but when I know my works and I know what we've done to get to that point with Carrie Gosh, because I was on the finance committee, don't tell me what I don't do. I know, and I know the person that did all the writing of the grants. And yes, I want you all to know there have been some missteps that some of those grants were not completed. Had, like our president said, had things been in place and people had not had us all over the place, we could have focused and helped Ms. Rancifer and let her get to what she needed for as far as funding. But because we had so many other things that other people thought that was very important, that diverted our attention, and I'm very, very sorry for that. The last thing I wanted to do was see Carrie Gosh close. But I feel in my heart, from the bottom of my heart, because this has bothered me for a minute, because I know the work that went in this, and I know the people that worked there. So it bothered me, and I'm gonna let you know, and it bothered our president. All week long, we've been struggling with this. This is not an easy situation, and I never wanted to be put in this. I was so depressed, and I was so ready to let this go. But I have a purpose, and my purpose is my children, my district, and the employees. But I just want you to know, it's nothing against the employees, there's nothing against the work that you put in, and I see the children excelling with your program. And the only thing I want you to know is my mother told me, and you might not take it like that, but I'm speaking from my heart right now until I get to my speech. If you can learn, I'll use myself as an example. I wanted to go to another school. My mother told me no. She said, because if you can learn at another school, you can learn at the school that you're in. So I'm just saying, transitioning is a problem. So I'm gonna get to my speech and then I'm gonna let us go. I was sitting at my desk, and the song Save the Children, a song written by the late, great Marvin Gaye, was written as a universal plead for children. This song is called to protect and nurture children against social injustice, turmoil, and deterioration. Right now, children are living through a global pandemic. The cuts in public education funding and cuts in programs that will not enhance their ability to advance and acknowledge starting from pre-K to K-12. It's sad that this government does not have any agenda to destroy education throughout our country for our children from receiving the most powerful tool, which is education. It saddens me to envision the next generation will not have the opportunity as the past generations have received. The board went to Washington, D.C. in 2024 to rally for public education. The first thing that we were hit with the president's first 100 days of his executive orders was to take away funding from public schools throughout America. The state of Indiana just put a freeze on My Way to Pre-K funds effectively now until 2027. That's what part of your money was from. That money that you were getting, that $40,000 that you were getting from the state, that's a part of this pre-K. So our community struggles to survive our elementary school, middle schools, and high schools. We have not received any funding from federal, state. Everything is in a holding pattern, and we're not the only ones. Yes, we've had some problems. We are struggling to keep our doors open and our employees from losing their livelihood. Some changes and hard decisions have to be made. The state has lowered our property tax dollars that fund our schools, our libraries, and our townships, and other state-funded organizations. We want to keep our pre-K students, so a plan has to be put in place, which I feel that as we go along, nothing is carved in stone. Anything can be changed in a matter of time with prayer and communication throughout the community. Our program needs to continue. The goal without a plan is just a wish. Planning in advance requires communication from curriculum coaches, teachers, boards, members, parents, and community. We must come together to work the plan and have an input from all entities input from our district. I know change is hard, but without it, the district cannot be productive. We must unite in communication and accept what we can do to keep our schools open and not have to eliminate jobs. To my understanding, Cinder and Dalton explained our finances during several meetings, and some of you all that are here tonight was there at that meeting. In his presentation, he said we cannot wait any longer. He has stated our property taxes have been lowered. We don't want a referendum because, let's just be real, if your property taxes is lower, we come for a referendum, what you gonna say as tax holders, as property owners? No, I'm enjoying my lower taxes. So let's just keep it real on that. So you're not gonna go for a referendum. Those are used to fund our schools. These funds are not enough to sustain our overhead. Please realize that arguing and misunderstanding will not solve any issues. We have to come together as people and as a district, focusing on the situation instead of the solution. We need to focus on the situation instead of the solution is not the answer. That's the key to survival. Remember, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And with that being said, I want to say we have to work together. If we're going to make this district work, in spite of however we feel, however this turn out, we're going to come through this. We're going to come through this. But what I don't want our district is to start backbiting and fighting at each other and putting off false information. If you want to know anything that's going on, I suggest you come to your superintendent. Or if you want to know something that's going on, I don't think our superintendent have a problem with you having a meeting with the finance part, with the CFO. If you have a problem, I don't think our president have a problem with helping you through this. So I'm just saying, this is not an easy task, and it's not gonna be, and it's very heartbreaking. But I'm not saying this is the end. Because see, if you're a believer, see, some people believe, but they don't really believe in their heart. They say, I believe. I know there's a miracle, and I know that a miracle can happen. But this is what we have to do. Come November, get out there and vote. Change the trajectory. Then you can change the way our economics is. If you don't vote, then don't say anything. Just keep complaining and keep walking.
Thank you.
Because November is the time for you to show who you are.
Facts.
And if you don't do that, don't come in here complaining, because you didn't take the initiative to do what you were supposed to do as a citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. All right, I will make this quick. Yes, sorry. Our school representative, Jonathan Ayala.
Sorry. Good evening, all. My name is Jonathan Alaya. I'm a senior at East Chicago Central High School. And first of all, I would like to thank my principal, Mr. Brown, for recommending me for this position. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for everything that you've given me for the past 2 years of the last years of my high school career. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be at this place right now. So shout out to Mr. Brown. Also, I would like to thank all the board members for all their hard work that they've been doing. Thank you guys for making right decisions, and thank you all for being here. If you guys weren't here expressing your thoughts, they would not know. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Ayala. Very, very commendable. And I appreciate you always been, even since I got on the board, he's always been engaging. He will email me if he has any concerns. So he has always been an active student in the board activities that we have going on here. So thank you again for always being engaged and participating. And it's a pleasure to have you. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Yes, this was the hardest decision I've ever had to make, next to picking out the clothes to bury my parents in last year. And that's how deep it was for me. Because I understand the work that you all put into it. That's why, again, I did my research and I put the work into it. So I didn't take it lightly. I made it with care. I made it with much prayer. And with long-term health of our school district and our children in mind. But I have to be honest, I'm a little disappointed and appalled at the way some of our board members voted, because, I just got here last year. So I'm still learning. I'm still learning the ropes. But all I heard from the board members that opposed was that Kerry Gosh was just a daycare. That's what I heard, constantly. So I had to go do the research for myself. But you guys are more than just that. You guys are definitely the foundation to set to catapult the children into our future. We just got to. I wish we could just find a way to rope them in and keep them in our district, and not losing them to charter schools once they leave Kerry Gosh. So maybe the parents will be more apt to, hey, those folks at Kerry Gosh are now at our elementary schools. They'll be more apt to sending our kids to our elementary schools. That is the hope and that is the prayer. So, while this moment was painful, it doesn't define us. It doesn't define us at all. What defines us is that we're facing hard truths head on and doing what we need to do today for our students, our staff, and our district, so that we can still have a future tomorrow. Unfortunately, this is Project 2025 unfolding, you guys. We're collateral damage. So this is what they want. Like she just said, we don't need to be fighting against each other, because that's exactly what they want, self-destruction. So let's lock arms and let's do this again. I know we can. Just going to share this in Spanish. If you give me, just bear with me. Esta noche la Junta Escolar enfrentó una de las decisiones más difíciles, reconociendo dos realidades al mismo tiempo: la gran necesidad de los servicios que se brindan y la difícil situación financiera del distrito. La resolución no refleja una falta de valor en el trabajo que se realiza, sino las limitaciones financieras impuestas por cambios recientes de la legislación estatal. La decisión no es definitiva ni representa la única solución. Forma parte de un proceso más amplio y más complejo, y habrá más decisiones difíciles que hay que hacer por delante. Actualmente el distrito enfrenta déficit financiero y significativo que presione sobre todos los fondos operativos y costos crecientes, lo que ha llevado a la necesidad de actuar ahora para proteger la estabilidad futura del distrito. El distrito continúa comprometiendo a proteger programas y empleos, mantener servicios esenciales y asegurar que el trabajo importante que se realiza para apoyar a los estudiantes y las familias continúe en toda la comunidad escolar. Aunque la decisión fue dolorosa, fue fuerte, se tomó con mucha responsabilidad, con respeto y con el objetivo de salvar el futuro de nuestro distrito. Muchas gracias. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We will be adjourning the meeting. If I could get the next date and time of our meeting would be Tuesday, February 10, 2026, at the Administration Building. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Madam President, make a motion to adjourn?
Motion made by Trustee Rodriguez,
Second.
second by Trustee Smith. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Trustee Gibson King? Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Madam President Taylor?
Yes, meeting adjourned.